My fault. Oh gosh, this is not good. Wait, what? I swap, you swap. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. We are in Summer Cup Ultra League, and only for about one more day left. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to play too much of this cup myself either, because I was at a recent regional at Fresno. So if you know, then you know. I will post more highlights about that later this week. But if you want to play some last sets with this team or save it for next year, then I'm sure Summer Cup will come back around. But overall, this team was a lot of fun. A lot of my patrons climbed a lot with it too, a lot more than I did even. The team I ran was a Tentacruel, Jellicent, and Credilli. Surprisingly, I didn't see a lot of people using Credilli for whatever reason, maybe just accessibility reason. But it was actually very, very strong in the back for me. And then Jellicent and Tentacruel having the bulk was able to beat a lot of things, especially electric types too, which you would not usually expect. Before we get into the battles, a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. If you would also like to have early access to my strategies and lineups, or see behind the scenes footage of my battles, feel free to sign up in the Patreon link down below. Alright, starting it off, we're going to have a Galvantula lead. Galvantula is a tough one for the team because it has played into everything, especially in the lead. Pretty much every Galvantula user I know goes discharge right off the bat. It's not really worth shielding in my opinion though. I think I actually might have started this one late a turn because I saw it late, which is why my timing was really poor there. But that being said, we are just coming in with Credilli here, and we're going to try to finish it off. You're going to get hit by 2 lunges either way. If they are not debuffed, although this Galvantula was, the second lunge could put you very, very low. So just something to know. Maybe it's worth shielding the second one if they are not debuffed. But typically speaking, their backline is going to be pretty weak to Jellicent. And yeah, pretty much almost every backline in this situation. So it is a pretty good spot to be in. And you can see Jellicent is going to beat Swampert, as well as being a hard wall to that Tentacruel. So it's going to be a good position for this team. So despite how bad the lead is, typically speaking, electric leads are much easier to handle because once you get rid of the Jellicent or the electric, you're in a good spot. The hardest electric lead, well, I should say there's 3. It's the Venusaur Magneton and then Togedemaru. I have only seen the Venusaur Magneton. Togedemaru is not nearly as good as the other 2, but those being the steel subtyping as well makes it quite hard to deal with Tentacruel. So just something to note, you don't actually run into any Magneton leads to my knowledge, but there is a Magneton clip later on. You'll see why. Alright, Pidgeot. This is kind of an interesting one too. It really depends on if they bait you here or not. I still don't shield because it's just not worth it when they go for the bait. This one goes straight for the Brave Bird. I am, yeah, quite low on health, but I'm going to throw a Skull first, force a shield, and then now come in with my Credilli. So Trevenant is also one of the Pokemon that's a little bit harder to deal with. Tentacruel is probably one of your better options, but Credilli is not too bad. As you can see, these rock sizes are going to start adding up. The good news is C-Bomb is a little more energy these days, so it's a little bit harder for them to bait you, so most will go straight for that Shadow Ball. That being said, we are able to take it out with 2 rock slides, and they come in with the Virizion. Virizion being one of the hardest counters to Credilli, so something you should definitely expect to see. I end up leaving with the move here, but this is fine. We end up throwing the Sludge Wave at the Pidgeot, so that's pretty good. And then I'm going to come in with the Jellicent here. Jellicent is pretty reliable into Virizion if they're not running Leaf Blade. Most are running Sacred Sword and Stone Edge, which puts us in a good spot. Yeah, so let's see what this person running. But either way, the Shadow Ball and the bulk on the Jellicent is very, very nice. And you can see it is Stone Edge, which makes this matchup much easier. I just had to bait with the Surf here. Seems unlikely they wouldn't shield this, and they do choose to shield. But honestly, I probably could have gone straight Shadow Ball. But either way, this definitely shorts up the matchup there. And yeah, maybe to finish it off there too. Speaking of flyer leads and electric leads, here's a Zapdos. He got a little bit of both here. Every Zapdos I faced goes straight Thunderbolt, so I choose to shield whenever they have Thunderbolt energy. They are going to outpace you to Scald, so it's a safe play for them. But the Poison Jab damage really adds up, so it's actually a pretty good spot still in my opinion. And the best part is you have Cordeli in the back that only takes neutral or resisted from the Zapdos. And then we swap out a potential Thunderbolt here to soak up some of that energy, which is really nice for us. And they come in with Blaziken. So typically speaking, I do safe swap the Jellicent, but when there are Electrics in the lead and I have to catch something, you definitely want to come in Cordeli. Alright, so my opponent is going to throw a Blaze Kick there, fishing me off, but I'm just going to get rid of this thing as fast as possible. Zapdos is out of energy as well, so even if they come and finish off my Tentacruel, I'm not super worried. Yeah, this can't even be a Thunderbolt. I think they didn't have energy. And then they have a Bomb Snow. And then we're just gonna swap over and catch a potential Weather Ball. We have a Sludge Ray banked, so we're in a pretty good spot, all things considered. Yeah, I'm just gonna optimize a little bit here. I know that my Jellicent does tank an Energy Ball, especially for non-Shadow Bomb Snow. If it was Shadow, might be a different story. But we're in a good spot, and again, that bulk on the team is really what comes in handy here too. Especially with Surf on Jellicent too, it really just helps a lot of different matchups. And it looks like my opponent is gonna, concede or just leave. Walrein. Walrein's an interesting one because they're doing resistance damage to you, but the Earthquake does hurt quite a bit. So typically what I do is I try to catch an Earthquake. Looks like I didn't quite catch it, but they still go for the Earthquake in general. So that's not a bad thing. We soak up a lot of entry, and Jellicent is good for that. I want to take the hit from the Earthquake either way, so it kind of worked out. And then they swap out to a Kingdra, Shadow Kingdra. Yeah, so we're going to throw a Shadow Ball there. They do shield, and unfortunately I don't get to a second Shadow Ball, but I'm closing in on a Sludge Ray. Do I shield this? Yeah, I do shield. Unfortunately, it's an Octazooka. But we still get the Sludge Ray Evolve. Let's see if... Yeah, and it goes no shield, which is huge for us. And then we're probably just going to not shield anything here. Icicle Spear is pretty threatening as well. We do get the attack drop, but I'm going to let this go and see what they have in the back here. Yeah, and then at this point, while I try to optimize, I do get hit by Icicle Spear, which is fine. We are just going to throw a Rock Slide here. Let's see what they have in the back. It's going to be a Charizard. Charizard actually doesn't have a lot of places to go against this team, which is very nice. So if you ever run into Charizard, you're in a pretty good spot. At this point, though, yeah, they're just going to get one shot from the Skull. They have to catch a move here. I guess I should go straight for it. Yeah, maybe are they locked in? Maybe they're locked in. That's why I threw it right away. By the way, we were able to finish them off here. Venusaur. Venusaur is actually one of the tougher leads because it has play into everything you have. And yeah, the friends plays hurt quite a bit, even for neutral here. And so we're going to stay in here because at least you're doing neutral poison jabs. And it looks like my opponent actually swapped. So it's actually pretty good for us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just farm up a bunch of energy, take the energy, and then swap out. So even if they debuff us, no big deal. And it looks like they did debuff us, so it worked out really well. But Jellicent's biggest benefit here is that it walls off Tentacruel. So even if you swap late, it's still a very good position. And this allows me to actually farm a lot of extra energy as well. It looks like they come in Venusaur here. I am going to throw the Shadow Ball here. And they're going to hit me with the Friends Blade. But we have a Sludge Wave floated, so we're going to throw that to get rid of this Venusaur. If they for some reason shield, we can pretty much finish off a Cordeli. And yeah, we're just going to let this go. See what Cordeli could do. Cordeli's pretty decent against a lot of things outside the fighting grass, but with a grass lead, it's unlikely to have a Virizion on the back. And actually, it worked out really well because they actually have a Unova Stunfisk, which does not get walled by Cordeli, but it doesn't do enough to Cordeli. Just because the neutral Mud Bombs, even though it's buffed, it's just not as good as the super effective Grass Knocks. But yeah, Cordeli overall, very, very solid investment. So I know it's an expensive one. You need a hundo, but definitely start working on it if you don't have one because it's very, very clutch in a lot of these limited metas, especially in Ultra League. But yeah, able to close out against the Venusaur. Venusaur 1, you just had to tag team a little bit. Shadow Swampert, not a great lead, but 2 reliable counters in the back. Let's see what they come in with, and it is going to be a Galvantula. And yeah, not the best matchup for sure, but we'll see what we can do here. And it looks like they're going to throw a Discharge. Like I said, a lot of Galvantulas will go straight for the harder hitting move because someone's built on shield. And the launch just does not do enough to put us in Volt Switch range. But we got both shields now. Even after going straight Shadow Ball, which is surprising. I probably should have gone straight Surf there, but it worked out really well. So able to win switch against a counter swap Galvantula. It really just shows the power of Jellicent in this meta. And then now we have the alignment we want. So let's see what they have in the back here. But we're just going to keep... Oh, yeah. Okay, so the great catch from them. They catch a Grass Knot on Virizion. But we got a pretty good check to this, which is going to be the Tentacruel. So they're going to hit us with Stone Edge, which is nice. I mean, they're both neutral, Leaf Blade and Stone Edge, but Stone Edge is a little bit more energy intensive and less energy efficient. And now we have back-to-back Scald, which is going to put this Swampert in a really tough position. Yeah, they're very low on health at this point too. And Tentacruel able to finish off the Swampert here as well after coming out with 100 energy. All right, Heracross. This is overall a pretty solid lead, but this is where it gets a little interesting. And so I kind of misplayed this a little bit. This is one of my earlier matchups I've seen in Zekrom. But what you should really do here, in my opinion, is stay in, throw a Scald, potentially get debuff, but the Poison Jab damage is what you really want added up here. So that they're pretty much close to within one Rock Slide, especially after if you land a Scald. But here's the problem. They could Dragon Breath you down if they shield once. And now, I've completely lost alignment here. Of course, we don't know what's in the back, and both of my Pokemon are pretty good into this Heracross, and unfortunately I had to shield back-to-back Wild Charges, which is not great. But the problem is we have a Jellicent here, and Jellicent into Jellicent shields down is not going to be a great situation. I do get a debuff though, so I do have that going for me. I think I'm going to, yeah, so my play is I'm going to absorb the energy here, and then swap in maybe to my own. Alright, so they're going to come in here with another Shadow Ball. I'm going to come in with my own Jellicent. They still have a shield though, which makes my life very tough still. But they don't have Rock Blast, so it's not going to be too bad. I will be pretty much in one Shadow Ball range though when this is all said and done. So I need to have enough energy to one, bait and also land a Shadow Ball here. Of course, I can also go straight Shadow Ball if I don't think they're going to shield. But I think they're within one hex away from getting to a Shadow Ball, so I decided to go for the bait here. Now let's see if the bait pays off. And it looks like it does not. Very unfortunate. They were actually not even at the second move, and now I go for the Shadow Ball, but at this point, it's a little too late. So honestly, despite the really disastrous mid-game scenario that won them switch and still gave them shield advantage, we almost came back from that one, actually. Unfortunately, just not enough. All right. Kingdra. This is always a very weird one because of Octasuga in itself. But I'm going to go for a bait here. And again, have I learned my lesson? Clearly not. Another no shield from my opponent. I decided to spend my shield here. I figured there's a good chance that they are going to go for the Shadow Ball. I'm going to go bait again. And let's see what happens here. We're going to let Cranberry go. And no, still no shield. Completely getting outread by my opponent here. This time around, I only got one chance to throw one more move. I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball. We get finally at least one shield here, but we're in a very tough position. Not having alignment and being down a shield typically results in a loss. It's very hard to come back from these situations, but I'm going to overfarm and see what I can do here. And we do get the Rock Slide off, and then they come in with a Roserade, and then we throw a Scald Bait. Fortunately, it still gets shielded, so that's actually really nice for me. Had they just caught and no shielded, they would have been in a good spot. But because we had so much energy here, we are going to throw a Sludge Wave, and now we're actually in a much better position. And they actually have Leaf Storm, so more energy intensive, which is good for me because it means that they're probably not close enough to their next Leaf Storm. And we somehow managed to still win this despite two failed Surf Baits in the rear matchup. But again, that's where, you know, the bulk of Jellicent really comes to handy. Even failing two bursts, failing two baits and taking a Shadow Ball, you're still able to get to a third Shadow Ball there. So definitely very solid. Guess anytime you have a lot of Pokemon with a lot of bulk, it gives you a lot of room for error, right? And as you can see, I make plenty of errors. All right, double here. A lot of doubles are going to be running payback here, but even if they're running Wild Charge, you don't really want to get hit by Wild Charge. So I'm going to shield, and Body Stem baits are pretty risky for them, and they're taking resistant hexes. So most double users will not shield here, but let's not forget, I have a lot of energy on my Tentacruel. So because of that, I can come back in and combo play essentially once the switch timer's up. So what I'm doing is spending both my shields to put this quite low. I might even grab a shield from them here. This last surf will definitely put them quite low, and they have a lot of energy, so they're going to shield, and then I end up catching a payback, but it was on CMP, so we're able to take out the Buzzwole, which is very nice. I am down a shield, but I will eventually get my Jellicent lined up against their Tentacruel, which is what I want. And we get a Scald off on their Tentacruel. They might just farm me down. No, they're just going to go for a Scald here. I definitely need to wait out my timer a little bit. Actually, don't think I waited out at all, but this is actually pretty good for me because I want the Virizion against the Jellicent here. So this is going to be good, all things considered. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Balls. Let's see what happens. If they shield us, I can potentially go for Surf Chip damage. No, okay, I don't get to it. Do I live this Stone Edge? I do. I barely live it. Again, the bulk coming in really clutch here, as expected. And then now we get a much easier matchup here. Of course, Sludge Wave and Scald are all neutral here, but it's just not going to be enough. And I'm going to go for a Rock Slide because I thought that one Grass Knot might not be enough, but it looks like Grass Knot might have been enough. However, we still get 2 Rock Slides, so end up working out. I was just worried that I had to go for a Grass Knot and a Rock Slide, which would have been a little bit more energy intensive. Miltank. Most Miltank are running Thunderbolt in this meta, so you do have to kind of respect it in this lead matchup. But this is a much better matchup still than the Jellicent one, because at least you're doing neutral. Poison Jab damage, you could potentially debuff with the Scald. Is it worth double shielding? I personally think it is, but that's my take. You get a lot of value out of this because you don't take pretty much any damage from these rollouts. And then we are able to catch a move here too, which is nice because if they're shielding, then you might as well go for that play. And they have a Tentacruel in the back. This is actually not too bad for me, all things considered, because it's not really a hard counter. It's pretty neutral, in my opinion. Potentially means that they might have something like a Swampert in the back, something that's really weak to Credility, right? Could be a Charizard as well. That's also a possibility. Charizard would be really nice because we're very strong into Charizard. And they go for the Acid Spray. Unfortunately, not enough damage. Personally speaking, I don't think Acid Spray is a play in this meta, but some people like it. It's actually a Zekrom. This is actually kind of tricky because they have a shield up. They have Electric Dragon Pokemon. I have a 2 water Pokemon back, but they no shield the Sludge Wave, which is very nice for me. Had they shielded, I would have gone straight for the Shadow Ball. But that no shield damage, really nice for me. I'm going to try to get rid of this Miltank. They actually shield here. But we get to another Surf. And again, that Surf buff for Jellicent a couple months ago was really a game changer, especially in Ultra League. Alright, going against Virizion lead. Typically speaking, this is a very good lead, but Electric Safe Swap, not the best time. So typically what you want to do is you want to throw a Scald here or grab a shield and then swap to your Credility. We get the attack drop too, which is massive for me. Now they're going to hit us with 2 lunges before, or actually no, just 1. Alright, let's see if they shield this or not. They probably don't. Oh no, they do. Okay, so this is actually very good for me. I'm not going to shield here. I know I live this lunge as well. I just want to save my shields. And at this point, yeah, I choose not to. I think I'm just going to go for the jab down. We have 2 Pokemon that are both really solid into Virizion. So we're in a pretty good spot still. Maybe it's worth shielding here. I'm not sure. I just didn't want Virizion to come out with a bunch of energy. And this is much worse, actually, than the Galvantula. Like I said, there's a few things you really don't want to see. Magnezone is one of them. And not only that, we're getting baited. We do land a Shadow Ball on the Virizion, which all things considered is the move you want to throw anyway. But them expending the energy when it should have gone to the Magnezone is definitely giving them a huge advantage here. But we are going to throw another Shadow Ball, see if we come out with some energy here. That's really my only play. Go for the Hex Sound, and I end up catching a Stone Edge here, which is like good and bad, because you can see here, this is where it gets bad. They're going to farm us down. Had I not caught it, maybe I should have thrown the Surf instead and gone for a Surf on the Magnezone. But yeah, at that point, I knew I was going to lose. So yeah, very typically a very good lead, but unfortunately a very tough backline. Well put my opponent there for sure. All right, Buzzwole. Again, Buzzwole lead with a Safe Swap Galvantula. You just stay in, throw a Scald, and then swap out here. I don't think we got a debuff on that one, but that's fine. We are still in a pretty commanding position because they don't have a shield. Yeah, as you can see, without the debuff, that lunge does a lot more damage, about half of your health. However, no shielded. Rock Slide is going to put me in a good position. And then now we have neutral Rock Slides, debuffed, but still going to do some decent chip damage to this Buzzwole. Unfortunately, we only get one move off. But you resist all the movesets on Buzzwole on both the Jelson and the Tentacruel. So you're in a very good position here. And then it's just going to be an Omastar. I think this is a Rock Throw Omastar, if I'm not mistaken. It's doing a lot of faster damage, which surprising. Yeah, kind of surprised by it. I'm not really sure what it covers in this meta, but either way, we're going to do what we can here to put it quite low. But yeah, it's doing a decent amount of damage, actually. Able to actually beat my Jelson there, which is pretty impressive. But Buzzwole, unfortunately, doesn't have too much to play here. They're going to launch me, so it's going to debuff me, and it's going to do a decent amount. And then another move, I was like, whoa. I was like, this is another launch already. But unfortunately, it was just a superpower. So that's good for us, because they get debuffed on top of that. And we can push them down. Actually kept it quite close. That Buzzwole doing quite a bit of work. But as you can see, like I said, I didn't play a ton. But I was able to finally get my elo, and I was able to start off at 2440. Really goes to show how well this team carried me, because even though I didn't play a lot of games, the games I did play, I went a lot of 5-0s and 4-1s. Unfortunately, not a lot of time left in this cup, but a lot of people probably don't even have these Pokemon, so these are great Pokemon to start working on for a year down the road. Obviously, you could probably use these in other cups like Halloween Cup as well, like Jelson and Tentacruel. Be on the lookout for my Fresno Regionals recap videos coming hopefully later this week for those that are preparing for any official Show 6 tournaments or just want to see kind of my run in Fresno. Overall, I did pretty well, so I'm very happy with that. But stay tuned to see footage on that. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share. Subscribe for future content. Hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video. And I'll catch you all next time. Bye.